Yoku's Island Express on the Nintendo Switch. This is a demo that I downloaded for free from the Nintendo, from what we call it, the Nintendo Store. And I'm currently playing it offline. In fact, my console can't even go online right now. Not that I'm complaining. Pretty sure yeah, you won't be able to hear any audio for this. I'm pretty sure I can't go online with this console right now. I was supposed to be playing NBA 2K21, and my console won't go online. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. This is why this is why I play with cartridges and demos that can be played offline. In fact, as usual, because I got the Switch a couple of months ago in December of 2022, right around November of 2022, actually. I downloaded a bunch of free demos to see how well it played games that I'm already familiar with on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. I also wanted to see how well this game runs, stuff I've never played before but might be worth trying out, because it's way easier to download a demo on the Switch than it is to download on my consoles, I'll be the first to admit. Mainly because I can take this Switch to a library and steal their bandwidth. Because, you know, I'm a library user, obviously. Most of the games in this channel are library rentals. This is a Metroidvania pinball game. So, for people who are wondering, if you remember Pinball Quest on the NES, there were a couple of other adventure pinball games whose names escape me. But these are games that use pinball mechanics to move your character around the world. There are flippers all over the world, and your job is to get this ball to various parts of the world. So the way that you can sort of navigate this world is by using pinball flippers. Now, again, I'm a massive pinball fan, so I've always liked the idea of this game, and it grows on you after a while. The first time I played it, I was kind of meh on it, but I think after I gave it like a good run of about an hour, I think it started to kind of click with me. This is a game that's very inexpensive. It's regularly under $5 on cartridge and on Steam. So if you were to play a demo like this, and you're someone like me, I would easily say, oh yeah, I would definitely play a game like this for $5. And I'm sure it runs on like a $300 laptop from 2022. I'm sure it's fine. I haven't tried it though. I probably have to get around to trying it. So use the ZL button to move the blue flippers, and the ZR button to move the yellow flippers. That's basically all you need to know. Everything else is just about sort of manipulating the ball so that you get to where you need to go. And some of the flippers, like the one you saw over here, this one's both colors. You can use either button to flip it up. But the idea, again, is to manipulate these flippers so that you can move around the world, get to places that you can't normally get to. Yeah, that's supposed to happen. Yeah, I'm the Kevin Costner postmaster, and I ran into a big blue dragon for some reason. The visuals in this game are not great. I don't remember the music being that great either, but again, it has it where it counts, which is reasonably interesting world traversal. Because it's a Metroidvania. It does a pretty good job of establishing places you can explore. Though the hour or so I played of this game on the Xbox One, I kind of got the feeling that the game was kind of linear. Which is to say, I got the idea the game really wasn't challenging me to make any really high-level pinball moves. It was just kind of telling me to go this direction or this direction and come back if you can't get there right away. But it wasn't like giving me a big open world to explore, like in the, I guess, maybe the first Metroid. This feels more like Super Metroid. Press the A button to use, on the top left-hand corner of the screen, I have some fruit. I can spend 30 of my 36 fruits up there to unlock this item, which allows me to get up here. So the idea is to collect the fruit so that you can eventually unlock more flippers that will help you get to more areas. So you want to explore so that you can get the fruit and then spend that fruit to unlock new areas to explore. Which again, as map progression, I think that works pretty well. As gameplay progression, that's a reasonably well-conceived system. Because it's not like you're not unlocking abilities so much. You're unlocking areas to explore, which can help you get through the game. And of course, since it's an exploration-based game, the idea is to ultimately find as much stuff as you can and maybe at some point be a completionist. And there is a map in this game. It's like, where's the map? Yeah, it's the minus button. The select button on this 8-bit DOE controller that I'm using. I'm sure this game runs well on the Switch controllers. I just haven't detached them yet. I haven't detached the joypads yet. So that's where we are. And we're going over to the right. So ultimately our idea is to get past the dragon and get over to the far right over there where the mushroom is. Far east. I don't have enough fruit to use to unlock this thing. Let's see if we can find some. We need 5 more pieces of fruit. What's this? Baldino's asleep. We'll probably wake him up eventually. That's a save point. And I think that telescope unfogs other areas of the map. Let me check. Yeah, here. Yeah, I think it just unfogs areas of the map that the telescope is pointing towards. Yeah, so I can't do that yet. We'll get to that later. But I still need more fruit. I don't know if... Can I crack... Yeah, I can crack those crystals. With enough bumps. There we go. Oh, wait, I needed that. We get that flower. I want to say that, again, the pinball-based challenges aren't really that tough in this game. Because if they were too difficult, people would get really frustrated with the progression. But there's an argument to be made that... See, that gave me a lot more fruit. There you go. There's an argument to be made that some of the optional content in this game can be locked behind some technical challenges. So I'm curious how that would work in a game like this. Because, you know, there are lots of areas in the pinball, in our regular pinball table that you can't get to until you, like, complete some sequence of events. Like, hit the ball... Like, hit this target, which unlocks this target. Then hit this target. Or, like, get all the lanes to be lit up. Like, basically, when the ball goes through a lane, it lights up. Then when the ball goes through a lit lane, the light goes out. So the idea is to get the ball to light up all 3 lanes in sequence or something. And that will unlock some target that you can then hit to unlock some ability or unlock some bonus or unlock an extra ball to play with or something like that. Typical pinball stuff. And of course, it's not always intuitive in a lot of pinball games, although the modern video pinball games with screens and such are usually a bit better about telling you what you have to do to unlock certain stuff. But in most pinball games I've played, the idea is if you're playing for score, the idea is to figure out the quickest way to get the most points. But I usually play pinball games to figure out the quickest way to get extra balls, so that I can stay on the field and play around with it a bit longer. Figure out how things work. So you can play for score on a time-based system, and I unlocked this flipper by throwing 30 fruit in here. So you can play on a time-based system, like a caravan-like system, where you just try to get as many points as you can in a short period of time. Or you do what I do, is that you just keep as many balls in play as you can. Like get multi-balls, earn extra balls, so you have more time to play the game. So it's more of an endurance play style, which is how I usually play pinball games. Because my logic is that if I make a mistake, I like getting another chance, so I can keep... So my score gets higher if I get more chances. That's my logic. I need the because if I have extra balls to play with, then I'm willing to take more risks in pinball games. So I can press the A button. Yeah, to get some attention. Or in this case, crack a crystal. So maybe I can crack this. Here we go. So you can crack open these rocks with the noisemaker if we press the A button. That's cool. This demo's pretty small. It's like 700 megabytes, so you can download it on a DSL connection pretty quickly. Pick fungi. You still want to grab some shrooms. Get the juiciest ones on the east side. So what else are we doing here? Well, let me go in here. There might be... Is there more stuff over here I can crack? No. We'll just go up here. We'll use the blue flipper to get up there. You know how it usually works. You catch the ball with one of the flippers. Then you kind of give it a little... Then you kind of flip it gently. Kind of juggle it to give it some momentum. Then when you have some momentum, you can, like, flip it off the edge of the flipper to get a lot more speed. Old school pinball stuff. But I admit, I did not learn that strategy until I was like, maybe like in my early 20s. I was watching some dude on the NBC Today show here in the United States, and I unlocked that. And the whole point was that pinball isn't just about flipping the ball randomly and hoping you catch it. It's about controlling the movement of the ball, controlling the speed of the ball by catching it with your flippers, and being able to point it where you want it to go, using the right amount of speed. So stuff like that is stuff I should have learned much younger when I was playing a lot more pinball in arcades. But when I was playing Full Tilt Pinball on the Windows 95, it made the game a lot easier to deal with. Because I had a lot of fun with that game, obviously. It's one of my favorite video games of all time, that Full Tilt Pinball game that Maxis put on the Windows 95. Yeah, it was included with Windows 95. It included a demo of Full Tilt Pinball. And I played that demo so much when I got my new computer when I was in university. I played that game so freaking much. I ended up buying the game for like $15 or some, I think, when I was in university. And I played it for like hundreds of hours. I did a lot of... What was I doing specifically? Well, I wasn't doing a lot of studying when I was playing that game, but I was listening to a lot of video game music, you know. Listening to the news. Listening to book lectures and stuff like that. Listening to playing some Full Tilt Pinball on the weekends when I didn't have any more studying to do, and I didn't want to go outside and do anything. Well, mostly at night, obviously. I know it sounds weird for a college student to like play video games and not do anything else on weekend nights, but it depended on what I felt like doing at the time. And since I liked playing video games, the best way for me to play video games back then was to just stay at home and get something to eat, bring it back home, and listen to some book lectures when I wasn't studying. I got a poison toadstool. So how do I get up there? I might need some speed to get up there. Give me a second. Okay, so I pressed A and I unlocked some more fruit. So let's see what my options are. And of course, some of this game has to be pre-scripted because if you need to get to a certain area, you got to pre-script most of the... You have to pre-script the path the ball will take. So the easiest way to do that is to just lock the physics. Like as soon as you enter a certain lane, you would just kind of lock the ball into a specific path. But I mean, sometimes you can overdo it. Like I remember Pokemon Pinball on the Game Boy Advance. Most of the game was based on pre-scripted ball movement. So if you hit the ball to a particular location, it was automatically going to go in a particular direction. And so a lot of the game felt like it was on rails, which is not good for a pinball game, I think. There used to be some dynamism. Like if you're going to put the game on rails, make it as part of like unlocking new areas, I would argue. But don't put most of your pinball game on rails. That just feels cheap and lame. It doesn't feel like I'm making difficult decisions when I'm playing the game. It feels like I'm simply trying to maneuver my ball into a specific position so the game can guide me through a designated path. So I have the noisemaker. Can I get rid of the dragon from here? That might be a good question. And there's some fruit down there, but I can't get it, I don't think. It's probably in a different area. So I gotta get out of here, so give me a second. You can also do that. Yeah, if the ball has enough speed, you can juggle the ball from one flipper to the other. Or you just that's another way to juggle it. Just kind of get it. If it's in the right flipper, you want to get to the left side. You can juggle it, or just kind of find another way to kind of flip it upwards so that it gets to where you need it to be. Yeah. Bit more fruit here. You can only hold 100 pieces of fruit, so that's how much. So I guess like Zelda, you need a bigger wallet. Hold on, something over here, I forgot. There we go. Never a bad idea to get fruit. Found some shrooms. Does the dragon want shrooms? I wasn't paying attention. We'll see how it goes. So if I want to get back down, just bust through it by pressing the flipper button. There is something to the left. Yeah, those are the fruit to the right. Let's see if I can get over there. Huh. Curious how I can get the fruit over there. Like, again, that might be some optional content, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't want to do that. So we'll bump this out of here. And leave the flipper alone. So I'll move it over here manually. Did I move it out? Okay, so I can just move it out. Something's up here. I didn't think... Well, if I lie... do I want to lie? I mean, I don't know if it matters. That is some bad cheese. Well, sorry, bro. Okay, I can't get up there. So there's another way to get up there. I just don't know what it is. But I made it out. So let's see what happens. I might be able to find some other upgrade beyond the noisemaker that lets me get to those places. That's what I mean. It's a Metroidvania game. You're supposed to unlock abilities that allow you to reach new places. I mean, again, I'm not precious about the definition of it, because I think you can make a Metroidvania as a first-person game, like Mushroom, what was it? Slime Rancher. Like, that could certainly be, I would argue that could be a Metroidvania. Okay, I went the wrong way. Because it's a first-person shooter, but like Metroid Prime, you're, like, adventuring and you're platforming. But I would argue Metroidvania doesn't need platforming. Like a top-down game, obviously in a top-down game, you don't have to worry about gravity so much. So you can make a Metroidvania game like Guardian Legend on the NES, and that could certainly work. There we go. Save point. Use the noisemaker to bust the vases. That gave me a bit more energy over there. Give me a bit more fruit. Okay, I screwed that up. I screwed that up. We'll figure it out. Give me a second. Because I'm not going to play this game for very long, because I already have like an hour's worth of footage on this game, I think. But I am kind of curious how long the demo goes. There we go. Some more fruit. Does the Wickerling give me more fruit when I break stuff? I don't know. There we go. So that'll open the door. But yeah, I guess there's something to be said for gravity being a thing that more advanced programmers should worry about, because good jumping controls in video games are not easy. I mean, again, I still think Mega Man 2 was it. Most people go back to the Mega Man games on the NES. I really like Ninja Gaiden 3 because the jumping was kind of floaty, but I remember it being very easy to control your character in that game in the air. So it helped, because that's a game that had a lot of jumping. Of course, Vice Project Doom is perfectly fine. Very responsive, a lot of aerial control. But again, you make decisions like that because a game like Super Ghouls and Ghosts has reasonably responsive controls, and they're incredibly tight. And again, like a lot of Capcom games back then, the game was very particular about when sprites were touching. But that game has other problems. But a game like Ghouls and Ghosts could be a lot easier. That those tight controls could be in the service of a more generous game, you know what I mean? But again, the jumping controls in that game are kind of like Final Fight. They're more deterministic. But in Final Fight, you don't really have to jump to avoid. I mean, well, you do, because there's some enemies that kind of charge at you and you can jump over them. Okay, I need a way to get through the water to get over here, so we can't do anything here. We'll have to come back when we get a new ability to get us through the water. In games like Final Fight, you jump to avoid specific attacks or to perform certain attacks that some enemies will pull off, but it's not a game where you need to jump to make progress, like in a game like Mario or Mega Man or a game like this. Well, you don't jump in this game. You can flip, you get flipped. But in Metroid, your ability to jump determines whether you can actually get through some vertical corridors, you know what I mean? And you can't even beat the game unless you're really good at jumping and landing on very tiny platforms. And there are two kinds of jumps. It's like there's a regular jump that's a bit easier to control. There's a super floaty somersault jump that all the kids like me loved back in the day. But there was that whole problem of what was. There was a whole problem of, because it was there, you would constantly get yourself in trouble. Whoops. Did I take some damage there? You would constantly get yourself in trouble in the ending of Metroid because you would, whoops. You would constantly get yourself in trouble in the ending of Metroid, whoops. Because you would do somersault jumps instead of regular jumps. And somersault jumps were harder to land on because you had these really teeny tiny platforms. It's like, imagine being on a balance beam. It's easier to land on a balance beam safely if you're doing a regular jump. But if you start doing somersaults, it's a lot harder. So it's kind of like that with it's kind of like that with the regular Metroid games, the first Metroid. You wanted to traverse this very precarious vertical corridor, and you're basically jumping on a bunch of tiny balance beams, and it's easier to do that if you do regular jumps. But again, the ending of the game is based on whether or not you're able to master the jumping controls. Although, what is it? Super Metroid still has one of the more frustrating wall jumps I've seen and I've played in a video game, which is hard to believe that a Nintendo game, well, it wasn't technically made by Nintendo, but like the people who made Mario are not the people who made Metroid. Different developers. But the whole point of it is that this incredibly cumbersome wall jumping system was put in Super Metroid, and thankfully you don't need to do it to beat the game. The game does not require you to master a wall jump to get any essential items, or to beat any bosses, or to exit any specific areas of the game. Like, you don't have to do a wall jump ever to win the game. But there are items you cannot pick up until you've learned how to wall jump. But those are for completionists. The completionists are going to speed. The completionists who are speed running the game, yeah, they can do wall jumps from a dash. So those are for the speed runners. And of course, the people who want to collect 100% of the items you can find in the game will do so by getting that wall jump to get some of that stuff. Okay, I'm trying to get that last crystal on the left side there. I'm gonna have to juggle. Whoops. Wait, this is probably the easiest way to get it. There you go. That works too. I mean, I'm not taking any damage in this game. There is no way to save this game, is there? No. Which is fine. We just want to play the game as much as we want. So yeah, this game runs fine. I don't think it's running at a stable 30 frames a second, though. It might be some jostling, but I'm playing on I'm playing on a laptop through my USB-C capture device. Inland made. It's like a $20 capture device. I don't think it even captures music in stereo. I think it only captures the music in mono. But it can do 1080. It can do 1080p 30. I think it does 1080p 60 actually. With the compromise being that the music's never going to be in stereo. But hey, and I think that's the entire demo we just played. No, that was the title card, the late title card. Haha. I wouldn't be surprised if that ended the demo. Yeah, so we played through the entire demo. So 30 minutes of content. 10 if you really know what you're doing. Maybe, yeah, 10 if you know what you're doing. 30 if you feel like goofing around. But yeah, we explored most of the game. So yeah, a 30-minute demo. But yeah, I want to see more pinball adventure games. I've always wanted more games where you could, like, buy better flippers. Like, so you could, like, not just earn more points, but, like, you buy better flippers so that you can, like, unlock new areas that weren't available before. Like flippers could be like keys. You know, targets could be like keys. Like, there's lots of stuff you can do for a game like this to add adventure elements. Like, you don't need bosses. Like, did Devil's Crush or Alien Crush have bosses? But yeah, I've always wanted to play games like Alien Crush and Devil's Crush, and I do have Alien Crush on the TurboGrafx Mini. I don't think I have any videos of that, but I do definitely want to play more pinball games on this channel. In fact, I think I have the pinball collections that I got on the Wii, and on the PSP. Full version details. No. We can't even go online anyway. Yeah, we can't go online anyway. Okay, so Yoku's Island Express is a free demo that you can play offline once you've downloaded it. So yeah, if you're on the bus, I guess you can download it. Maybe depends on how fast your internet connection is on the bus. But yeah, totally possible. And you can play it when you don't have an internet connection. It lasts for about half an hour. You'll be fine. OFS. Yoku's Island Express.